Hello, here we are again in El Paraíso Verde, and I'm here today with Dr. Erwin Arnau, the founder of El Paraíso Verde, and we're going to discuss money. Hot subject, money. What does it cost to live here? How can you invest your money? Go ahead.
Thanks, Dominic, for having me again and for asking all these questions that are interesting for you. And we'll get to the tough questions later. So don't worry, hang in there. You'll have every question answered by the time we are done, no matter how long it takes. So you want to know, first of all, if somebody is interested in El Paraíso Verde, likes our living principles, how can they invest?
Exactly. What does it cost? You know, I want to be here. What are my options?
Okay, so the first option, which we do recommend for people who are not decided yet. You know, we have people that look at our videos and say, well, 100% I want to go there, I want to be there, that's it, this is what I was always looking for. But if you're not that kind of person, then it's better to come here, visit us, do the info week. We have a whole week of information, and we recommend everybody to get started with the info week. Just come here when the info week starts. Even if you don't do the green card or the cedula, as they say it, which is admission permanente, even if you don't do that, come and do the information week. Because with the information week, you get all the data, all the information you need to decide, is it for me or is it not for me? And it's important because a clear no helps you to go somewhere else. It helps you to look for something else. And a clear no also means we're still friends. So we have people that said, no, this is not for me. I'm rather going into the mountain. I want to be in the mountains. I don't like the heat. Then you're still a friend. You come visit us. All the best thing, the problems we always have when people have a half-hearted decision. Half-hearted decision. So therefore, we're going to work out today what kind of 100% correct decisions you can make for yourself depending on your situation. But Dominic, you did the info week, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. How was it?
It was great. We were here with the whole family, me, my wife, and our two kids. And well, you basically learn all the things what they do in El Paraíso Verde, like the vegetable culture, the different housing possibilities, what sort of projects have already been realized, what sort of buildings people build, from actually really incredible, from what do you call it, yurts to double-story beautiful villas, incredible stuff actually. So you can really see what it takes to put these things, and you get an idea of the finances, what it cost. But I want to know from you, and that was back to my original question, how much does it cost? What do I need? How much money do I have? Okay, here we go. Let me be very precise. Family with two kids want to come here and live here. How much money do they need to bring? How can they do that?
Okay, so if you're not decided yet, is it going to be for me or not, and you want to try it, then it's the best way to rent. We have houses for rent. We have in hotel rooms for rent. We have apartments in the hotels for rent. And it's good to take yourself a half a year, 3 months or half a year, and be here and see how it is for you. Because that will give you the security that you know what you're doing. If you rent here for a family with 2 kids, it's probably going to be somewhere around $1,000, $1,200 to rent the house, depending on the size of the house, between $1,000 and $1,500 to rent the house. And then just if you put it in your budget to be here for half a year, cost of living for a family of 4, probably around $1,000. So with about $2,500 US, you would be able to say, you know what, we're going to stay here for 4 months. We have $10,000. We stay here for 4 months. And after that, we have family council and we decide, are we going to invest here? Are we going to stay here? Or we go somewhere else? That would be the first option.
Okay, good. So let's say the 4 months are up. We held our family council. Yes, we want this.
Okay.
Where do we go from there?
So then you can go and say, I want to purchase some land.
Okay.
If you want to purchase some land, we have well over 1,000 properties for sale still. This is as of March of 2024. This may be totally different in half a year, but right now we have over 1,000 properties for sale that also all of them have a title.
Okay.
And we'll also have new projects that will receive their titles somewhere around 2026, 2027. So just in case you are not so much in a hurry to getting a title, but we have more than 1,000 properties that have a title. So you purchase a property fitting to your budget, and the square meter prices start right around 22, 23 US dollars a square meter, which is about 10 feet, 10.76 feet. So square feet. So you can get yourself a lot fitting to your budget. And then you decide, do you want to be closer to school? Do you want to be closer to the action, to the Bam Bam Bo? Or do you rather want to be further away, more in nature? So that is basically a choice that you can easily do once you have been here for 3 months.
Sure, sure. Okay, so I purchased myself a lot. And then what sort of possibilities do I have to build? And what does it cost for me?
Okay. So figure 1,000 square meter or 10,000 square foot lot. Huh?
Okay.
Figure about 22 to 30,000 US dollars. And all these lots have electricity, they have roads, they have electricity, they have water. So they are ready to build. Okay. Now, to build a house, think per square meter. If you're in square meter like the Canadian friends, they're in square meters. Think about 900 US dollars per square meter under roof. Very important. In Paraguay, you are counting under the roof. And that's different to the living space. Everything that's covered with a roof, that's the overhang, that includes the overhang, it includes the terraces. So 900 is a very good estimate for a budget. And you're talking about like 100 square meter under roof house. You're talking about 90,000 US dollars.
Okay.
And 100 square meter would be around 10,700 square feet, something around that. Yeah. So that will actually give an idea what it costs, and then you can see if that is within your budget. Of course, there is no end. We have more expensive property on the lake. On the big lake is the most expensive property, but you can easily find something. I would say starting with about, if you have a family of 4, starting with about 120,000 US dollars, you could have a house on a nice garden with a vegetable garden where you can at least get some of your food and produce it on your garden, and you have a nice family home.
What about double story? If I want to go extra high, I'm sure 900 doesn't cover the cost on that. How does that sort of, what's your measure stick on that?
You have to take the square meters on the roof and double it if you have a double story.
Okay.
That would fit if you do that. And it very much depends what kind of style of house. Some of the houses in Paraguay have a lot of roof overhang. They have a lot of shadow around the house.
Yeah.
They are less expensive, but if you do like in a European style kind of cubicle thing without any roof, any proper overhang, then you're probably much more expensive. And what I've seen is that, yeah, you can build double story pretty much on every lot. It depends on the size of the lot, and you have to have a certain distance to the border of the lot, of course, because you don't want to infringe on the neighbor. That's basically natural law.
That's standard, yeah.
Right.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I've seen various sort of houses around here. Yeah, I've seen some really fancy shapes. Are you restricted in any way of what you can do, or are you pretty much free to?
You can build whatever you want, which means the medieval fortress nobody has done yet, but you could be the first one.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So how is it with permits? You know, I tell you, when I wanted to build in Europe, you needed to jump through 1 million hoops, basically.
Right. You're talking to that person, first, second, and third instance for all the permits. So there is no permits. In Paraguay, you build. And this is a free country. Okay. So you just build whatever you build. We only make sure that you keep the distance to the neighbor so the neighbor doesn't get upset. We do make sure that the houses are well constructed so that they don't collapse, no? But basically there is no building codes in Paraguay. So basically, and there was some problems with other projects where they didn't adhere to any standard. They did have problems with the houses. We don't, because we have a European standard and we have European builders and we have civil engineer that calculates everything. She's from Cuba. She was here from the very first day. So we make sure that the houses are well built, but basically on style, size, whatever, you don't have a restriction.
Thank you for covering that also with the building standards. Very good. Okay, great. My next question is, let's just say I'm selling my shares because I don't feel that the economy is...
You get out of the stock market.
Yeah,
good
I get
idea.
out of the stock market. Yeah, it is a good idea, actually. or, you know, I cash in my retirement fund or whatever, and I have a bunch of cash. Let's say I have 3 million, and I want to put it in a safe... Where? Let's say I wanted to invest that here. What could I do with that?
Okay, so well, let's start a little slower. Not with the 3 million. We'll get there. Let's say you just had 150,000. You buy yourself a small lot, good enough to have a little vegetable garden. You build yourself a house with a family. Everybody has a room, not too big, but you have a room, and you live happily ever after. Okay. So now let's say you come with a budget of, let's say, $300,000 US.
Okay.
Then I would recommend, depending, if you don't have a job that you can do over the internet where you make good money, then we recommend that you take the additional 120 to 150,000 and you build 2 rental units. Or you take 1 bigger rental unit. So we have rental units that can be rented as 1 and also can be split in half and then rented as 2. The rental unit is always booked. Normally, our rental units have a tenant before they are finished. So today, this morning, I 2 rental units that will be finished, one next week and one approximately 2.5 weeks. They today got their tenant, so it's already fixed. So my recommendation is, if you come with more than you need for your own house and your own lot, build 1 or 2 rental units. Rent them out. You have an inflation-proof income, and the interest or the profit on the rental units, depending on how big your lot is and depending how you build, is between 6 and 12% a year. So if you don't use very expensive tiles, if you make it clean and nice, but not overdo it with the tiles and with the sanitary objects, then you're probably making about 8% a year in profit. Up to 12% we've made, no, with rental units. So it's good, and it's inflation proof.
Good. Yeah, good. Now back to my 3 million.
Okay, you're 3 million. Okay, we need to talk afterwards. No, we'll have a talk afterwards with the gentleman.
But I don't have 3 million. But what if?
It's good that you say that. Big the IRS was watching.
No. But what if I were, for example, living in, let's say, the US?
Yeah.
Okay. I cash out my investments, and
you have 3 million.
And I have 3 million, and I want to invest. Maybe not even live here right now. Right. But I want a place where I can stick my cash. Yeah. What do we do? Can we do that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a good idea to do it in El Paraíso Verde, and I can tell you why. I've been doing financial investments for 35 years, and I've seen everything fail. We started out with insurance, then we went into mutual fund insurance, then we went into mutual funds, then we went into Forex, we went into everything. And the last one I did, which I could actually sell with a good conscience, was physical gold, because all the gold certificates are not worth the paper they're printed on in a case of a crisis. Maybe now, but not in case of a crisis. And even the physical gold has one problem, which is when there is a Gold Prohibition Act, as you had in the United States. You remember Roosevelt, for 33 years, you were not allowed to have gold. The government, the criminal government, you must say, will take away your physical gold. And if a government actually has the nerve to put something in your body against your will, which we have all experienced, no? Then that government does not blink with an eye to take away your gold. So when I realized that, this is when I created El Paraíso Verde. So I wanted to have a safe investment. And everybody who has invested in land here has gotten his money back, some of them have made good profit, or will get his money back. So this land is secure. And so therefore, if you cash out on everything, and let's say you have $500,000 upwards, that's about the ballpark, $500,000 upwards. We have investors that want to invest for way more than 5 million, but let's say $500,000 upwards. And you say, I'm not going to keep this in my bank. I'm not going to keep it with my broker. Remember, every broker makes you broker, by the way. So I've had broker accounts. I know what I'm talking about. So when you say, I want to put this into something that is crisis proof, then put it into El Paraíso Verde, because the worse the world gets, the worse your crisis gets, the more the prices of our property will rise, because we have the only secure, non-jabbed, non-poisoned, autonomous and bio whatever, organic community in the world at that size, at a size where you could live if you want to for 10 years without even going out. So that is why an investment here, watch it. If whatever will hit the fan, and something will hit the fan this year, then we will be booked in a matter of days. Those 1,000 lots will be sold in a matter of days. So you have a secure investment.
Okay, hold it there for a second. Just tell me, because I've also heard other things that say that maybe the way you state this, how safe it is and might not be exactly that way. I mean, there's rumors out there with the president, there's stuff. Can you clarify that?
Okay. I have a question. When do you see if your investment is safe? In times when everything is just hunky-dory and the whole thing is just going fine, or in a crisis? When do you see if your investment, the management of your investment is good?
During a crisis time, I would say.
In a crisis, right. Because if there is no crisis, you don't know if your manager is good. So of course, in 7 years, we had crises. Not only one, we had the floods, we had the fires, we had the lockdowns. And the last crisis we've been through was last year. It's already well over half a year ago, where we had to exchange the management. And if you have a big company and then you find out that your management is corrupt, then you need to exchange the management. That's what we did.
But you were the founder. Weren't you the management?
No. A founder's job is not to manage the day-to-day business. That's not the founder's job. The founder's job is to be shining and to have visions and to talk to people and to go on TV, That's the founder's job, but the job is never to manage the personnel, to manage the finances. It's also not the founder's job. That's a very stressful management job. And then last year, in 2023, we found, towards like September of last year, we found that the management was corrupt and money was missing. So we did what a founder would do, and we are the founders, that we had the duty to get rid of the management, to get rid of pretty much all of the upper and middle management strata, almost all of it, and take over the management. So my wife now is doing the financing, she's doing treasury. And you talk about Fort Knox, you don't know my wife, no? I mean, she is handling the finances and I'm handling the day-to-day business and she's handling the day-to-day business. We had to step in and do it. And ever since the 17th of October, mark that date, because on the 17th of October in Paraguay, it's like this: the president is responsible for everything. Okay. Until the president is gone, when the president is changed, then you have like a new company. You make a corte administrativo, which means you actually make a balance sheet and you say everything up until that date, president is responsible. Everything from that date, new president is responsible. So I'm president since the 17th of October of 2023. So we're actually handling all the new funds like a new company. So if you build a house here, your house will be built in a technically possible and feasible time, permitting the weather. So your houses will not be delayed. Your investment is treated like a new investment. And all of the old stuff, possible damages, possible things that did not go like they should. Just make a quick calculation. We have more than 155 million worth of property to sell, and even a highest estimate of possible damages, that's already exaggerated, is less than 10%. So we are talking about a manageable damage, and we are managing it day to day. I mean, this is not a problem. But I need to answer that question, because you want to have a secure investment. I tell you, you only find out if an investment is secure if you had your investment manager, in this case we, go through crises. How did they act in the crisis? How did they handle the crisis? Or did they let the whole thing go by the wayside and say, well, we're better than the benchmark? You know, that's not an excuse. The real management says, okay, we have a situation, we handle the situation, we handle the hell out of it, we get it done, we learn from that experience, and we get better than ever. That is our philosophy, this is how we do it. And the best part of all of this, ever since that crisis, the settlers really got involved. That wasn't there before. A huge amount of settlers, like the majority of settlers, are now involved in projects. They're doing things they never did before, from growing trees to helping with the Info Week to helping with the finances. So basically, the best part of this crisis we went through in last year, or in 2023, the best part was that the settlers got involved, took responsibility, like we had to take responsibility, and we are exploding right now with the inquiries. We're exploding now again with the income. We're exploding with the interest of people wanting to live here, because they now know that we are a safe place to be in times of crisis, and that we're also a safe investment.
Impressive. So that means right now you are the founder with your wife and the president.
I have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Isn't that a lot of work though?
Yeah, I got up at 2:30 this morning, so I just don't look like 2:30. But my wife got up with me, you know, and that's what we're doing 7 days a week. But it needs to be done. You have to get the job done, and failure is not an option. So therefore, we just do whatever needs to be done to be successful. And so now back to your investor that has like a 500,000 upwards.
Yes.
No, 100 million welcome. We have 150 million worth of lots to sell. So there is high ceiling, you know, to invest. Those investors are able, if you're just doing an investment, and say, I want to invest, I want to put my money into El Paraiso Verde, and maybe later on I want to get it back, I want to have it rotate in El Paraiso Verde, that investor buys lots with 45% discount, buys it, and we put it back on the market at our list price, and when it's sold, 1/3 of the profit goes to cost, commissions, advertising, taxes, you know, fees, lawyers' fees, notary public, all of this. 1/3 goes to the investor, and 1/3 goes to Reeljoef, and it's just being used for improving the infrastructure. So in other words, we have $1 million. Let's talk $1 million. You invest $1 million, you get lots worth $1 million at a list price that I will prove to you is the normal list price that has been paid already for such lots. So you buy lots for 1 million, but you get them for 550,000.
So I really give you 550,000, not 1 million.
You really give me 550,000, but you're getting lots for 1 million.
Okay.
So you give me 550,000, you get lots for 1 million. And we put it back on the market immediately. And when they are sold, then 150,000 go to cost, 150,000 go to the investor, and 150,000 go to Reeljoef for the infrastructure. So you could make the 15% if you're lucky in 6 months, or in 2 years, or in 3 years, but you actually make a significant profit, and you have a secure investment, because the prices will rise in El Paraiso Verde.
And that would be reflected on the list price.
Right, so the list price will also go up. So I'm not only talking about these of the built-in 15% profit that's already built in. I'm also talking that we will raise the prices. Once we have the street done and other things done, we'll raise the prices. So you also get 1/3 of everything that's above the list price when we do a price increase.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's good. And also that program actually is not dependent. You don't need to live here. Your vaccination status does
That was
not
my next
matter. It
question.
does not
Okay, thank
matter
you.
because you're not going to live here.
Yeah.
So you can actually just say, I have the money, I want to invest. We handle everything for you.
So if I just wanted to be a good guy and help you out and want my money in a safe place and make some profits, I could give you the cash and you would manage it for me, and I help you out at the same time. Even if I'm triple waxed, it wouldn't be a particular problem.
Let's face it, we have not only 155 million worth of property we can sell, we have about, let's say, 15 million of investors that have been with us for a while, and with the many crises, starting with the floods, with the fire, with the title that took 7 years waiting for the title. Some of these investors are frustrated, and because they are frustrated, they want to get out. They have sort of decided to get out, so we are actually exchanging investors. So there's about 15 million of investors that we're exchanging because new investors have not gone through these times. Those were pioneer times. No project survives this normally. How we survived, don't ask me. I wouldn't be able to tell you, and I wouldn't be able to do it again.
So my last question here then is, what if I'm not certain? Let's say I go, sounds all great. I did the info week even, okay? And I go, listen, I don't think the world is that bad, or maybe it is. I'm just not so sure that I want to live here right now. What can I do?
It's a very good question. Let's say you're from Ohio and you love Ohio. I mean, you wanna, and if it would not be for the world that is going the wrong way, you would stay in Ohio. Well, that's the scenario.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a typical Plan B investment, which means we get together. You still do the info week. I recommend that you do the info week.
Yeah.
No? And when we talk at the info week, we determine what part of your assets would you transfer to El Paraiso Verde to create a so-called Plan B. What is a Plan B? It is a lot, a smaller or a size of a lot that is suitable to your budget, and a house that is suitable to your budget that we will rent. And now the whole circle is, we're going full circle on this.
Yeah.
You take like 1,000 square meter or 10,000 square foot lot, you build a house there for like 80,000 or 100,000 US dollar. And now, since you're still in Ohio and you love to be in Ohio and it's not that bad yet in Ohio, that is the point where you say, you know what, please rent my house. Now, when you rent your house, you make, let's say, 6-8% profit, whatever, something like that, maybe 10% depending. You make a profit. And now, if the crisis comes and you need to leave Ohio and go to El Paraiso Verde, since we don't have these tenant laws like they have in Europe, where you can't get the tenant out. Here, if you need the house, the tenant is out, if need be, in a few days. And it's not even hard for the tenant because we always have room in the hotels. So if you, let's say there is a crisis in the United States, you say to your kids, pack the suitcases, we go to El Paraiso Verde, that's it, I'm done here, at least for a few years, I want to get out. Then you let us know. The tenant moves into one of our hotel rooms and 2 hotel rooms. You can move in within a few days. You have your home, and if there is a garden, you can grow your own vegetables, have a few chicken, and you're here until you decide either to stay or you decide if things clear up in Ohio, then you can go back. And the Plan B is a very frequently used plan. Sometimes the Plan B becomes a Plan E. And what else can happen? Let's say everything is fine again in the world. You know, the world was saved by I don't know who, but the world is saved and everything is wonderful in the United States. The United States back to where they were 50 years ago. Let's be optimistic. Then you would say, you know what? I'm going to sell that house because I don't need it. I'm just going to, no, I don't need the house in Paraguay. I'm going to stay in Ohio. Though finished houses have always been sold the quickest in El Paraiso Verde, have gotten very good prices. I just sold 2 houses where the seller demanded the amount and they got them. Despite our commissions, they got the price that they demanded because we always have a lack of finished houses. So you can sell them or you can keep the rental income if you wanted to. The one thing you can make sure is Paradiso Verde is a place, if you have a house here, even if you're not here, the house is always in a good condition. Try this anywhere else in the world, you will see what becomes of your house if you're not there.
Right. Thanks for picking that up, because that was my next question.
Okay.
What would happen to my house if it stood
It
unattended?
depends where it is, you know. If you have that in the Canary Island or in parts of Spain, then you have a tenant there that you don't want and you cannot get them out. If you do that in other places of South America, it could very well be after half a year, the only thing that's left of your house is the concrete platform, you know. So it's just being carried away. And that's not only Paraguay, that happened to people in Bolivia, that happened to people in El Salvador, it happened to people all over, even in other continents, not only South America. So it's important. El Paradiso Verde is a closed condominium, a secure condominium. If you have your stuff in your house, it will be there when you're there again. Everything as you leave it is there. We don't recommend that, but most of our settlers don't lock the door. They don't lock their cars, they don't lock the door. You're back to like the 50s, you know, when Elvis Presley was young, when you didn't lock the car and you didn't lock the door. So that's basically, that's your security for your investment.
Got it. And it's true. We don't lock our door.
Here is my witness, you know. We didn't rehearse that, you know. This was, it's the truth.
I do lock the car, but that's out of reflex.
Right.
But I don't lock. In the first few days, we locked the door. And then I thought,
Stupid, right?
why do I lock the door?
Yeah.
I mean, this is cool, you know.
Yeah.
And funny enough, we lived in Switzerland before. 10 years ago in Switzerland, I was the same. We wouldn't lock the door. Yeah. The last 5 years, forget about that. You don't lock the door, you get robbed.
Something is missing.
Something changed, you know. And here, literally, I can leave the door open. The kids are safe.
And now we're back to safety. The biggest reason for coming to El Paradiso Verde in the future years will be safety. We have a big security force. We have fences. We have defenses. Our settlers, the ones that want to have weapons. So safety will be the biggest issue on planet Earth in the next few years. So here, our kids roam around all day. You never see your kids. Just when they're hungry, they come back. But otherwise, they roam around there with their friends, and you can be sure that your kids are safe. And that is the most important part, actually, of El Paradiso Verde. And an even more important part is, it's not the houses that we built, it's not the streets, it's not the excavators that we have, and it's not all the stuff that we have, the physical stuff. The biggest asset of El Paradiso Verde is the people. It is the many dear friends, and they will become family to you. And you can talk on any subject you please, every subject you want to. You can actually be sure that they will be listening to you, they will understand you, they will respect if you have a different opinion. And that, I think, is the most important asset. So it's not only the financial aspect of an investment, but also the point of your heart, of your feeling, of your soul that needs to have a safe haven.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say something. I meant for this interview to be, I had lots of aggressive questions planned that I wanted to poke into you. And to be fair, you covered everything so smoothly. I got my questions answered. So I'd like to thank you for that. Yeah. And if you have any other questions for us on this channel, if there's anything you want to know, you just send us a message and we're going to try to cover it in as much detail as possible. Okay? Thank you very much.
Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this interview. Lovely. Take it from there.
And we'll get back with all the tough questions. So keep them coming, the tough questions. I have no problem. Good. It's good.
Lovely. Thank you.